Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tejano Traveler. I'm your host Wale, and today we are on the Texas Independence Trail in San Antonio to check out the Institute of Texan Cultures. Now, when you get here, I like seeing this shot showing all the flags that have been important to Texas, but in my heart, this is the most important one. I still love the Lone Star flag, but there's doubt about whether the museum is going to survive because the Spurs want their place. So the museum sometimes looks empty. It's like they're trying to decide, do we stay? Do we move? What's going to happen? In the meantime, though, you should still visit and enjoy this amphitheater with a cool little dome where you can sort of see stuff. But it takes into account all the cultures that are important to Texas, including the very, very old ones that predate history. But really, our Texas history starts with the Native Americans. So I'm very glad that they have a whole section just on them. It's like there's a whole wing just dealing with the uh, various Plain Indians and the Karankawas. And I still love this dugout canoe that the Karankawas made. It's a real thing, and I wonder where it went to after it disappeared from the Texas Bob Bullock Texas Museum. And let's talk about the Caddo, which are currently my favorite tribe. I like learning everything about them and how they survived and everything, and I love their mounds. I want to build a mound. And I love their beadwork. I'm a huge fan of beadwork because it takes patience. But they also talk about the Humano Indians who lived sort of like the Pueblo. Um, they sort of disappeared, so they're very mysterious. I would like to know more, and I barely ever get to see any information on them. But here you have all the different tribes that were living in Texas at one point. Like, yes, sometimes they hated each other, but most of the time they stuck to their territory. They did their things, they lived their way, and they were hopeful that they wouldn't be attacked by each other or anything. I'm pretty sure they had treaties and everything, but the big ones were the Comanches, which they were definitely a handful. But most people, when they think of Texas, they think about the Six Flags and they think, oh, that's all Texas has ever been influenced by. But no, there's been a lot of countries that have sent their best and their worst to Texas. Um, Starting with the British Isles, with England, Scotland, and Ireland. They've been instrumental in Texas. Most of the Anglo settlers came from those. Then we have the French also, even though they started off kind of sneaky or by mistake, but they still managed to leave their imprint on our state. And there's my pal LaSalle. Hey, buddy, how's it going? You still alive? But there's also other cultures, such as the Dutch and the Swiss, who have made their mark, even though you don't really see them. But I like this museum because it showcases what other cultures have done to bring our state into a really nice one. And here's the Polish section with the Kotulas, and I've always loved their story about am I Kotula with a C or with a K and how they solved that issue. And there's our guy, Father Maxigemba. Hope I said his name right. He's awesome. But even the Italians have been involved in coming to Texas. And there's Mr. Bruni, who's famous down in South Texas. The Czechs have been here and influenced the music and some of the ways we live in. The Wends of Texas have also done their thing with their black wedding gowns. Um, Hungarians have also come here and they've done a lot. Settled cities, started farms, started resources. Of course, we have the Germans who were a huge influence in the Fredericksburg and New Braunfels area. And they continue to, oh, there's Ferdinand and some other guy. And the Jewish people, they've also come here and started a new life. Texas was once one of those places where everybody wanted to go and get their land. So all these different types of people came here. And now let's talk about some of the groups that you don't really think about, like the Lebanese who have been here, who brought their Orthodox religion. Um, I like going to their churches, they're really nice. And I like their religious artifacts. Like I want one for my birthday. But the Greeks have also been here and they've added their own little flavor to Texas. We don't really see much of it. And there's a whole section that talks about how a lot of these cultures are mostly represented by their music. And I like being in here because I like seeing all the different instruments that have made music here in Texas. So does that make it Texas music? I don't know, but I like listening to it. And another group that is not really thought of when we think about Texas are the Asians. Japanese people came over here and they helped start the uh, rice industry since they had a lot of experience. So they were instrumental in all along the marshes around Houston, starting all these uh, rice communities and some cities and towns. And they brought their expertise and they looked at the land and formed it to their way so that we can have rice. And of course, the African Americans. Now, most of them were not here on their own accord, but after the emancipation, they made the life here. There's several communities here in Texas, especially between Austin, San Antonio, and Houston. That little triangle area is heavy with African American history. Then we have people from the Scandinavia who have come here and also donated part of their history to make us here in Texas stronger. But of course, you can't say Texas without thinking about cowboys. So that whole industry and way of life still really affects us. But probably the most important group of Texans were the Spanish and Mexican cultures that have flourished here all through South Texas and beyond. We are everywhere. Look at all our names for ourselves. I can explain each one of those if you ever want me to. But I like it because it showcases all the history behind that and how enchiladas are displayed is multi-ethnic, coming from Asia for the rice and pork from Spain and tortillas from the New World. It's awesome. Anyways, go check it out. It's a great place to go and you learn a lot about different cultures. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye-bye.